it is going to happen on Thursday, barring some crazy circumstance where somebody bails at the last minute. And Trump, wisely, is finally not playing down expectations for Joe Biden, finally trying to hedge a little on just, what he might be dealing with. He is reportedly not doing debate mock sessions with anybody. He did before, where Chris Christie played his opponent, Joe Biden. But reportedly, he's not doing that this time. And Joe Biden is doing that. And I do think, just given reality, I don't think this is a mistake by Republicans, but just given reality, the stakes could not be lower for a Joe Biden performance, right? For him to emerge victorious, he's just going to have to not die during the 90 minutes. But what do you think?
I think it's kind of like the State of the Union. Right before the State of the Union, he had been stumbling again. He was at his low point, and they did the same thing. They put a lid on everything for about 5 days. And then he came out, and, when you talk about his cognitive challenges and Adderall and all these jokes, you get all these neurologists, maybe you've talked to them, they call you or they write you, and they give you a whole menu of pharmaceuticals or Nutrisills that can help him. And I think that's what happened in the State of the Union. He wasn't coherent, but he was animated. He was angry. He was fiery for over an hour and a half. So I expect the same thing. I think he'll come out. He'll want to show everybody he's muscular. He'll have to stand, and he will yell in that kind of mean grimace. And if Trump can just keep calm and just talk about what the Biden record is versus what his record was and what his plan will be, I think he'll do fine. But it's in a weird way, Megyn, they kind of slanted, as you know, the rules of the debate because they have, but I don't think it's going to help Biden, because cutting the mic, I think, helps Trump in a weird way so that he can't interject. The idea they stand for, I think they're going to stand, if I'm right, if I remember correctly, for an hour and a half. I think that helps.
Yeah,
Trump.
they're standing.
And then the idea that all of these, especially Jake Tapper, have this record of sort of overt bias or dislike of Trump, I think he'll be on his best behavior. Or if he is not, people will notice it and empathize with Trump. So if he can keep calm, and I think he'll do well. But if he goes out like he did in the first debate, and I don't think it's going to be as easy to do that under this platform. The other thing is, really quickly, we've never had, we don't really talk about why we were debating at all. We've never had a debate before in the history of these debates when neither of the candidates has been nominated. And it's obvious that this is some kind of stress test for Joe Biden, that if he doesn't do well, there's going to be talk that he'll get off the ballot, and they'll be able to have both the convention and put another person's name on most states in time. Whereas if he had debated in October, it would have been too late. So the pressure is on Biden, but it's kind of self-induced by his own party.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's what's fascinating. The Daily Mail had a piece on this saying they'd spoken with some top Dem operatives who were saying that really is the purpose, that if Joe Biden falls down at this debate, or if his poll numbers continued cratering, this is a few days ago now, this would, at least this early debate date, give them a chance on the Dem side to sub somebody else in. But at the same time, they're making plans to nominate Joe Biden virtually, even prior to the Democratic convention, which is seen by some as a move by the Biden allies to lock him in and make sure he cannot be subbed out no matter what happens. I am fascinated to talk about what's happened in the polling since I was last on the air live 2 weeks ago, because there has been some erosion for Trump with independents in the wake of that conviction. And you can see the argument by the Dems that everything is going to plan, that Joe Biden's not the ideal choice, but he beat Trump once before. He'll beat him again by running on Trump's personality as opposed to his own accomplishments, Joe Biden's, and that all he really needs to do on Thursday is irritate Trump. Just keep poking him, because Trump's goal is to try to, maintain some sense of dignity and strength, but not pettiness. And if Joe Biden just keeps needling him, Trump has some sort of a nasty meltdown that causes interrupting Trump to come back, and the numbers with women start falling, et cetera. What do you think of that plan?
I think that's mostly right. Absolutely. And I think he'll call him a convicted felon, or it'll be January 6th abortion, destroying democracy, and you're a felon and all that. But one thing about the polls, the Fox poll had Biden on the national level up 2. And then the Rasmussen poll came out, and you probably saw that one that just came out. And in that, Biden was down when it was a head-to-head, I think 9. And with a tripartite field, he was down by 7. And I think that was revealing, because we've all been watching these stories, the Black community, the Latino community, young people, independents, that they had been drifting, that the never Trumpers were kind of dead enders now. Nobody listened to them, that these big fat cats were starting to come back to the Republicans. And yet that wasn't reflected in the national polls. It was in the state polls. When you look at Georgia, Arizona, or Nevada, and to a lesser extent, maybe Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. And then you had these huge leads in Iowa, 18, and almost dead even in Minnesota. So I was trying to figure out, all of us were trying to figure it out. And then when this latest Rasmussen came out, it kind of made sense that Trump is actually, I think, doing a lot better than the Fox poll suggested. Because you couldn't have all these constituencies that are starting to change or are starting to evolve toward Trump and have not reflected in some sort of poll. They were reflected in the state, as I said, but they hadn't been the national. I think a lot of these polls were just oversampling or reflecting these huge blue margins in New York, Illinois, and California. But I don't think that it's even on the national poll. I think Trump's got a 4 or 5 point lead. That Philadelphia rally was I don't want to get into that, because the same thing happened in 2020. He had enormous rallies, and then Biden had these cars honking like a drive-in movie set or something, and he won. But I do think that Trump is a lot stronger now than he was in 2020, both as a candidate and support and financially.
Well, and here's what's crazy. You look at the polling, and yes, there's definitely been an erosion, or at least according to the most polls, at the national level for Trump amongst independents. Not huge, but significant since the verdict. But in the battleground states, he's still ahead of Joe Biden in all of them. And the fact that it's even possible that Trump could win Minnesota, Michigan, yes, Wisconsin, not to mention Nevada. I mean, Nevada is certainly not a lock for any Republican running. And Trump's playing Nevada very brilliantly. This, no more taxes on your tips pitch, yes, is very good politics, especially in Nevada. I mean, I'm sure it's designed to win Nevada. Anyway, all of that is very interesting. However, when I was reading my research for today, the single biggest thing that stood out to me among all the news updates that my team put together for me was something that was a piece of old news. At this time during the 2016 race, Hillary Clinton was up in the polls over Donald Trump 5.8 percentage points, almost 6 percentage points. So we love to read these tea leaves, but they honestly tell us almost nothing. Like at some point, you're almost just going on instinct. You can feel the shift in the electorate. You can feel the mood of the country. And maybe you'll be right, maybe you won't. But we obsess over these numbers as if they really are meaningful. And yet Hillary Clinton up by almost 6 points at this point, yeah, 16.
And I think that's absolutely right. I remember the 1980 race. You could feel something was going on, and yet the polls had Carter and Reagan almost even. In fact, I went back and looked at the Gallup. The second to the last Gallup poll in mid-October had Carter ahead by 6 points. And they only had one debate, and it was very similar to this race. There was the third party, John Anderson. Carter wouldn't debate him. He wanted him off, tried to get him off the debate, tried to get him off the ballot. Reagan debated him. He took only 7% of the vote eventually, but people were they were getting sick of the Iranian hostages. They were disappointed about the failed rescue. There was this hyperinflation. There was this oil problem, and then there was stagflation. And then you had Carter, and he was berating the people, just like the Biden people. He was angry, and he was, the Malay, so-called Malay speech. It's your fault. And then Reagan was just sort of, I'm going to do it. There won't be hostages when I'm president. Don't worry. They will not be there. I'll tell you that. and we're going to deal with it. We're going to get the country back. We're going to make America come back, come home America. And everybody laughed at him. He's never been a Fed. He's just a buffoon. He doesn't know what he's doing. He didn't have a really great debate against John Anderson. Maybe he lost that debate. And then the second one with Carter, I thought he did pretty well, but he just kind of said, Carter gave all his staccato facts and data as he did. And he'd say, there you go again. There you go again. Mm-hmm. And the polls didn't catch up, that they were tired of being lectured. They were tired of, you can't do this. America's through. We have this age of limitations. You've got to turn down your thermostat. We can't get the hostages back. We don't dare try another rescue. This was a mistake. We warned you. And Reagan was saying just the opposite. We're going to do this. We can do this. We're Americans. And people waited a long time. And then finally, it was almost like a tidal wave. They just said, I'm done with Carter. I don't care what my affiliation. I'm going to vote for this other guy. And I think there's some of that going on right now.
Do you ever think, how can I work this hard and still be in debt? The piles of overdue bills, the threatening phone calls, and never having money to do anything. It just won't stop. If you are trapped in debt, Done with Debt can be a way out. They have developed aggressive new strategies to end your debt permanently. Done with Debt stands between you and your harassing bill collectors. They tirelessly negotiate with your creditors to lower or even forgive what you owe. They do it all without bankruptcy or new loans. One client said, one phone call saved us a fortune. I wish we did this long ago. Done with Debt has unique strategies to get you out of debt faster and put even more money in your pocket every month. But you need to hurry because some debt solutions are time sensitive and you don't want to miss out. Visit donewithdebt.com. Talk with one of their debt relief strategists for free, and you have nothing to lose except your debt. Go to donewithdebt.com. That's donewithdebt.com. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.